Hello everyone, this is Dr. Aeronautics. Today we will be operating Acela Express train 2167 in OpenRails. We are at the Sunnyside yard. We're going to prepare the train. It's approximately 4:40 p.m. We will be heading south, and this time I will intentionally drive the train during sunset. Previously, sunset would be a real mess in OpenRails. However, some new code which I have added to the OpenRails repository has been accepted, and this is not a test because we have actually tested it the last episode. So my goal here is actually a demonstration of the changes that will be taking place. Last episode, we actually ended before Civil Twilight had ended. So I was going to be 100% sure that we include the full cycle from full day to full night. Here is our timetable. We will be leaving Sunnyside Yard shortly and arriving in York Penn Station for a departure at 5 o'clock p.m. Then we will be heading to Newark at 5:15 before making the sprint south to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at 6:10 p.m., hopping over to Wilmington at 4:30, then rushing down to Baltimore, Maryland at 7:23, making the short skip to BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport at 7:36, before making the final run down to Washington Union Station at 8 o'clock p.m. The map really should look like this, because this accurately represents what we'll be seeing along the path due to the new coding. It's not a anticipation. I know this is what's going to happen based on the testing. Sunset will be approximately around Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We will go through Civil Twilight around the Delaware-Maryland line. We will go through the end of Nautical Twilight at the end of Baltimore, Maryland, and we will enter full night with the end of Astronomical Twilight approximately about the time we arrive in Washington, D.C. But just a few quick definitions, then we'll get started. When we're starting at about 4:50 p.m., right when we enter the East River tunnels, the sun will be at 15 degrees above the horizon, and that is defined as the approximate time that the sun starts to turn color as part of the sunset sequence. Then the next thing that we're going to note is top sun. This is where the lower limb of the sun touches the horizon, as shown in this picture. Now, in Train Simulator, the sun is coded to be really large because your screen size determines how big the sun is. So to make sure that all users can see the sun, you have to make the sun anomalously large. In Train Simulator, this process is going to take about 20 minutes to hide the sun. In real life, it takes just 2 minutes. And I confirmed it takes 2 minutes because I timed it. Now the next thing is center sun. That's when the exact geometric center of the sun crosses below the horizon. And the last thing is bottom sun. That is where the upper limb of the sun disappears below the horizon, taking the sun from view. Yes, the sun is visible in this picture, but only a tiny sliver. It had disappeared 10 seconds after taking this picture. Then after that comes end of evening Civil Twilight. This is the time where the ground becomes dark to the point where you basically need a flashlight to see just about everything that's not white. So anything that's not concrete or white siding, you will need a flashlight to accurately tell the difference. Still plenty of light above, and still plenty of orange light in the horizon. Next is the end of evening Nautical Twilight. At the end of Nautical Twilight, overhead it will be 100% dark, but there will still be plenty of light on the horizon. Most of it will be blue, but some of it will be orange and red. And lastly, to take us into full night is the end of Astronomical Twilight. Astronomical Twilight is when that orange and blue light on the horizon begins to vanish. And once it has totally vanished, we will enter full night. Okay, back in the simulator, we will get started and get this train rolling out to New York Penn Station. All right, so you can see our time here on the screen. I'll get my route monitor up as well, which I may choose to periodically hide because I actually don't need it. The other thing that we need to do is I want to get the destination labels. I think that's Shift F6. Yeah, Shift F6 and then F6. It was changed in the new version of OpenRails. You have to hit Shift because only the locations applicable to your activity will show up. If that is just F6, Shift F6 will get everything. The last thing I'm going to do is open the compass with the 0 key, being very careful not to hit the plus key, which changes the time in the simulation, which we really don't want to do. Let's get our first look. There's the sun, just now starting to pick up an orange hue, and let's get this thing going under the East River because I want to make sure that I get there on time. It's so wild seeing you can see all the coaches behind. You normally don't go through a wow, look at that. That's a really sharp turn. Very, very sharp turn. Crazy. Kind of hard to figure out where I am. Saying the speed limit is 60. The problem is they changed the configuration of the tracks here. So it's kind of unclear what speed I should be doing. But we can try doing 20. Yeah, because the tracks are designed the way they were in the 60s, and even, yeah, I think even today, because I'm not seeing any new trains parked there. Either today or very close to today, they were still changing the configuration of the tracks here, so that makes it very difficult to figure out where I actually am and what speed that I should be doing. The limits that I have are from 2001, and it's kind of hard to know exactly what the answer is. Anyway, here's the East River tunnels. So as soon as we clear the interlocking here, I get ready to press Control M. Okay, no, it's not red anymore. Usually a red signal means that the TCS emergency brake's going to activate, but for whatever reason it didn't. So it's springtime. The sun is going to be pretty much due west, which right now is going to be a little bit, yeah, to the right side of where we are now. Occasionally, you may see me lifting up the screen to see everything. Anyway, the point that I wanted to make is once we're clear of the interlocking here on this track, we're good to 60, and because I know where I am at that point. Let's see. Looks like we went through. Are we clear? I think we're clear. Alright, let's get our last look at the sun. We won't see it again until about 20 minutes when we resurface in New Jersey. And here we go. This is a little bit unrealistic in how it works in real life. In real life, you can only see one track at a time. They are single-track tunnels. These are the East River tunnels, so that means we're going underneath the East River. Not quite as steep or as deep as the North River tunnels. You'll see after we leave Penn Station, we'll really take a dive. That's because I think the East River is something like 60 feet, and at the point of our crossing, I think the Hudson gets to like close to 100. It's like 90 or 95, if I remember correctly. Either that or that's the tunnel depth, and the actual river depths are like 35 and 65 or something like that. Alright, so this is going to come up pretty quick. I'm going to hit the brakes now. We need to get down to 15 miles an hour for Penn Station. bring the train to a stop here. Now, they have covered over the skylight here to make way for 34th Street Hudson Yards, so you can't see out anymore. All right, we are in position. So we've got, let's see how much time we've got. Looks like we've got about 3 more minutes to go. So we'll take a brief pause in the video and we'll come back when it's time to go. See you then. Okay, 15 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, depart. The next station is Newark at 5:15. Ah, that's the cafe car that's back there. Any minute now we should start to hit the 60 point, hopefully soon, because the gravity is taking me down, and there it goes. With every second I'm picking up speed, so at some point I'd have to hit the brakes, but we're good to go. Okay, here comes the big dive that I was talking about, and it's even steeper going up than coming down, because don't forget we're already like 15 feet below sea level. Although I usually prefer to pre-test all of my train videos, I did not get a chance to pre-test this one. I just didn't have the time. But to get around that, what I did was I built the path from scratch to ensure that I knew everything about the locations that the train would travel. And the other thing that I did was noted every track switch that occurred and the expectations to find reduced signal aspects there. So if I come upon a reduced signal aspect and it's not in my list of knowns, I'm going to ignore it. So rather than a positive confirmation, I'm going with a negative confirmation, which is a little bit more dangerous and unrealistic, but I think it's a gamble that we should be able to take, because after the update from the PRR beta to the PRR version 2 for OpenRails and the changes to the OpenRails signaling, things have gotten much more reliable. I have to turn the lights back up again. Did that a little bit early. We're going to have to do that one more time. Alright, we're resurfaced in New Jersey, and very soon we should swing around to the west. We'll get to see what the sun is doing. Alright, now up to 75. Let's reposition the camera. We'll be heading southwest pretty much the entire time, so putting the camera right here is a pretty safe bet. And already you can see that there's a big difference in the amount of colored sky here. Alright, now we're to 90. And I have to be careful because there's no Secaucus Junction, which means we go straight to the Dock Movable Bridge. And we might get the sound changeover once, then we'll have to slow down. You, it's really bright out now, but the coding changes that I made to OpenRails make it very, very dark. There will come a point, probably between Baltimore and Washington, where the only way to see anything would be having direct illumination by our headlight. That is, if I turn the headlight off, you won't see sky, you won't see the ground. The only thing you're going to see are city lights and stars. Which is how it is in real life. Unless there's light pollution, you can't see a thing. Okay, here's the Dock Movable Bridge. See I-95 going off into the sunset there. Alright, back up. Got the driving info is a lot more compact now. Let's stick it. It's also movable. Let's stick it over there. That way, you guys can see it if you're curious. I won't use it, but if you want to use it, you can. The one key difference between most things is the ability to see the throttle position and the braking positions. surprised to see all greens on the track monitor. I would have figured by now we would see some reduced signal indications from signals that just always like to troll, but maybe with the new version of OpenRails, the coding has been improved, possibly. And by the way, the direction that I chose here was totally intentional. I'd rather be facing southwest than northeast to see the setting sun. So we can go a little bit faster. This wasn't as steep a hill as I was expecting. Alright, there's Hudson interlocking. So pretty much by the end of the curve here, we will need to slow down. So we'll go ahead and cut the power off now, and now we'll put the brakes on. And we'll be a couple minutes early into Newark. So I'm not going to worry about maintaining 45 on this bridge. We can let that decay down to 35. Or even lower, honestly. Alright, so I'm going to turn, let's see. The lights, they do have a difference between dim and full. So I'm going to leave the lights off, even though that's unrealistic, because I want to see. I wasn't able to tell with the Mark video. I want to see when I need the lights on dim, and I want to see when I need the lights on full to see properly. The other thing that I want to do too is know when I need the lights on to see the controls here in the Acela. And that will let me gauge how good and accurate it is to real life. Alright, so we're going to lose the sun again because Newark is a covered station. And we'll be stopped there for probably about 2 or 3 minutes, so we're not going to miss too much. The other thing that I will do is let's turn the rear view around, and we'll use this to view the east. And one of the things that I like to showcase about the changes that I've made is the fact that the sky in the east will remain blue but starless as it does in real life. And unlike the old coding in OpenRails where the entire sky will basically start to flash bright red and then well, it'll turn red and then flash yellow and stay red. Actually no, after it flashes yellow, then it'll turn gray, which is very unrealistic. Okay, we've come to a stop, and we're pretty much on time. Generally, 2 minutes early is what you want to do. So we'll stick here for just about 2 minutes, and let's get the doors open here. I will see you guys at departure time. Okay, 5:15 departing Newark. Next station is Philadelphia at 6:10. Full 55 minutes from now. it's great to have come such a long way from the origins of this route. This route was so big that when the sun sets, the world would end. Something really weird going on with the train world simulation. I'm not sure what would cause it, but it's unbelievable. It's like as soon as bottom sun happens and the sun disappears from the horizon, you get an instant crash to desktop. That was in the old train simulator. Then we moved to OpenRails, and at least sunset could happen, but it looked like an absolute nuke going on. And now, finally, we have OpenRails. You can see sunset, and in my opinion, it looks beautiful. So it's nice to, I feel like I'm finally at peace. All right, we're gonna break 100. You guys ready? Here, Newark International Airport. All right, we're getting close to the Elizabeth S curve now. Looking at the wrong road. We're a Class A train that's 85, not 70. Or 75, rather. Although we will have to get down to 80 at some point. Just enough time to brake, come up to our almost maximum speed limit. I forgot we're in the Acela Express, which means we can actually do 135 at some point. But we'll get up to the very common high-speed assignment of 125. The Acela does 125 much more than it does 135. close to... We can keep accelerating until we bottom out here, but then we're going to have to slow down. It's 110 coming up around Rahway. All right, that's it. See the sky starting to turn more peach, and that's not just around the sun. And not in the east. Coming into the sunset region. Nice. curves here aren't modeled exactly as they are in real life. This one here is the only 95, but the other ones are sharp to the point where, if in real life, it would be much lower than that. Alright, now we are up to 135. This curve right here is a 130. Let's get the lights on for a cinematic pass. This is a left turn, which means it's not the 130 that I'm concerned about. Yeah, you know something that's pretty funny is a long time ago, I used to be like, man, 135 in a train doesn't seem fast. And then they said the same thing. Okay, here's the curve. They said the same thing on a video promoting the Acela Express. They're like, you don't get an appreciation for how fast it is when you're on the train. And then I took it for real life, and I'm like, no, it really does feel like 135. It was kind of funny how that was. It's like, you know, in simulation world, it didn't feel like 135. To some people in real life, it didn't feel like 135. But then to me, it did. I don't know if maybe they were just like looking at this and just saying, oh yeah, it's trees going by. But, you know, depending on how big the tree is, it depends on how fast you're going. The key for figuring out how fast you're actually going is to take a look at houses and other objects, especially people that pass by, and station platforms. And then, like for example, this. That's how you know you're going 135. The other thing too that helps, especially, is when you're alongside a highway like I-95 and you're racing a highway. You know that most of the people on that road aren't doing 65. They're probably doing 75 or 80, and you're passing them like they're stopped in the train. That's how you know. Alright, that is the last curve. We are now uninterrupted all the way to the end of our 135 zone, but not the end of the last one because of the upgrades that they made at milepost 55. We're getting pretty close to top sun. Maybe in another 10 minutes or so. Check on where we are. Plainsboro, I think that's just north of Princeton Junction. Yes. Okay, so we've got another solid 8 miles or so. Now you can see the area around the horizon in the west is turning peach, but it's still blue in the east. Okay, here's Princeton Junction. I'm going to close the throttle now. This is pretty much the point where we have to begin thinking about slowing down. In real life, that curve is not anywhere near that sharp. But the really good way to know is the 295 bridge. It's a lot easier to tell than the other train simulator. But this one is a little bit more challenging to tell which road is which. Let's see, we've got just about a mile, and we're still at 130. I'm going to have to brake. Because we need to get down to 110. I kind of think we're at top sun right now. It's kind of hard to see, but yes, I think we've just hit top sun. So what that means is, of course, you know, 20. It's going to be 20 minutes before the sun sets, and it's 5:38 now. We're expecting to be at Philadelphia at 6:10. So that would point to us being about 10 minutes early, but that's an approximation. Like if the sun doesn't set at Philadelphia, I'm not going to be like, whoa, something is wrong. No, because the sun, you know, it all depends on the specific day that you're on. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to actually set at like 6:12 or something like that. Something is definitely amiss with the milepost. This is about where milepost 55 actually is. It's weird because they get all squashed there, and then they spread out like one every 2 miles. I'm like, can you just reset the mileposts so that they actually hit evenly? Okay, we're flying through Trenton now. Crossing the, let's get a picture of the bridge. Yeah, the Trenton Bridge over the Delaware River. Okay, yeah, it is definitely top sun. Oh God, this, believe it or not, is 120. As sharp as this is in real life, it's 120, and I'm doing 110. Hard to believe, isn't it? That scared me, because that would have derailed us in real life if I had derailments active. That was funny. We took that at 10 miles an hour under the speed limit, and it still looked absolutely terrifying. By the way, we're in Pennsylvania now. When we crossed the bridge over the Delaware River, we entered Pennsylvania. know what's actually pretty funny is I actually took, I think it was Acela Express 2267 in real life. And based on what I'm seeing in the sky right now, I think this is exactly, this is timed exactly to how I rode 2257. Let's see, what is, this is 2167. That was in January, it was in winter, so it got dark a lot earlier. So I'm seeing a lot of yellow. Let's check the east. Yay, still blue. Oh, that's why we're basically heading straight into the sunset. And now I'm starting to notice the ground getting darker. Okay, that's the second thing that I've noticed thus far. Obviously the sun is very yellow. It wasn't like that when we started, but now the ground is starting to lose its brightness. That's the second thing. Let's see, are we coming up to Croydon? We are. Close the throttle. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, I'm gonna have to brake. Actually, no. I read the wrong line. This is a 120. The next one after this is a 105. Oh, I love how the sky just sweeps from yellow to peach and starting to get back to blue on the east side. Great. Okay, the 105. Let's see if I can pin that now. Actually, it's an S-curve. It's south of Andalusia. It is actually at the end of this straightaway, I think. Is it after Eddington? No, it's after Cornwall's Heights. Is Andalusia? I don't think Andalusia has a station anymore. I think it used to. Okay, there's one more curve. And, okay, now when we see the next curve, that's the 105. Not quite to center sun, maybe 5 more minutes. Alright, I'm going to close the throttle, and yeah, looks like it's about time to brake. This is an S-curve, so we need to wait for both of them. There's a left and then a right. Okay, so there is... Actually, this is Torresdale, not Andalusia. Maybe when they either changed the name or they got rid of the original Andalusia station, renamed... Okay. Yeah, alright. The tracks are just not the way they are in real life. Or the locations aren't right. Okay, back up to 125. And then at 77, that's Holmesburg. So 110. So there should be a creek coming up that signals that we're getting close. This is it. Let's get down to 110. Alright, we're getting close to Frankfurt Junction now. As a matter of fact, the next curve that we have to slow down for is associated with Frankfort Junction. So let's see, there's Tacony, then there's, I think it's Bridesburg, and then we're in it. Do you like how I timed that with the bridges? Okay, let's see, we're in Weissen-Oming now. Oh, it's so beautiful. Bridesburg. See how we're doing time-wise. We are due Philadelphia at 6:10, so we've got 19 minutes. I think we should have plenty of time, even considering Zoo Junction. And Frankfort Junction should sweep us right into the setting sun. Go from blue to pink to peach to yellow, and there's the setting sun going into the white zone, which is for loading and unloading of passengers only. Alright, oh, that's such a cool view. It's like the railroad goes to the sun. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think we might be... No, we're not quite at Somerset. I like how all of this is happening around Philadelphia, so that number one, it's scenic, and number two, like the tracks are going all over the place. So we're bearing wise. So we're seeing different parts of the sky at different times. Cab's looking a little bit darker now, so that is number 3, change number 3. Starting to get pretty dark in the shadows, so if I turn the dim lights on, it doesn't do much, but full does a lot. So this is one of the areas where we are definitely, yes, we are expecting a reduced signal. Now, the cab signal display works at a different cadence than does it's supposed to in real life. So even though the rule of the road is to govern the movement based on the cab signal, I'm not going to actually do it until I get to the wayside signal. So we'll get back up to 80 miles an hour here. And then when I see, there it is, there's the wayside signal. This is where I actually brake. And this is an approach medium, so I'm going to get down to 30. And now I've got a 45, that's interesting. So, alright, 45 it is then. Out really well, because here comes the 30 mile per hour speed limit. Alright, we're going to enter a tunnel. Smooth. I'm pretty sure that the signaling has changed a little bit with this new version of OpenRails. I never remember it being that smooth. I seem to remember having to slow down like a good 5 miles before, like pretty much where North Philadelphia is. But that was perfect. That was like 80, 45, 30. One right after the other. Now, that might have been because I usually refer to Train Simulator 2022 for this section of the line, just because it looks more realistic, and the tracks are also modern, so they're more true to real life. The only disadvantage is you have no mileposts to go by, but at least the tracks are realistic. That was weird. Okay, so now we're actually looking reverse. So now we're looking east with the front view, we're looking west with the rear view. Alright, let's see how we're doing with the sun here. Oh man, this is kind of a tough place to figure it out. It's kind of, let's say center sun, but I don't really know right now. I don't see anything wrong with gonna say I don't see anything wrong with not getting the exact time, because I have tested that. I know it works. So we're coming into Philadelphia a little bit early, so we'll be here about 9 minutes. Okay, and even though departure is not scheduled for 9 more minutes, I'm not going to leave the camera running, despite us being here for that time. So I will show you guys. There's the sun as it stands right now. It's probably going to be really close to bottom sun. Okay, that's the horizon, so we will still be able to see the sun a little bit after it sets. The actual horizon is probably closer to that, like where my mouse cursor is, so center sun right now might be bottom sun when we leave. If you guys want to know what it looks like, then I highly recommend you check out my video of the test with the MARC train, where I do leave the camera running during this times, but not this time. I will see you guys back in about 8 minutes. Okay, at about 18:05, the lights turned on, the city lights, informing me that center sun has occurred. It's 18:10, which means it's time to depart Philadelphia. And you can see we are not quite yet at bottom sun, but we're getting pretty close. So let's get on our way. Actually, hang on here. I gotta move the train, but oh, we're really close to bottom sun. Maybe like 3 minutes. And you can see it's quite a bit darker now. I've had to close my shades because of the light is now so low that the intensity of the outside lighting is such that I have to essentially darken my room to be able to see properly. It's amazing, you know, the sun is basically setting now, and I think bottom sun is actually happening as I speak, and despite that, we've still got an hour and 50 minutes to go. That kind of gives you an idea of just how long Twilight is. think I did this last time, but I'm beginning to say, where is the headlight? There's a headlight missing, and it doesn't seem like dim does anything, so I'm going to have to go straight to full again. And I'll check later on when it gets even darker to see if that's actually the case. Alright, let's see if we can keep checking this. So, let's see, I think I do see a little bit of sun there. Oh, it's really, really close. I think I said 1812. Actually, yeah, so 1810. I think it happens at, yeah, it's 1812. Okay. So if I recall, this is bottom sun right now. So this is what would truly be sunset right now. If the sun were the right size at 1610, where we're pulling out of Philadelphia, that's right when the lower limb of the sun would be sitting on the horizon, and now it would be gone. So let's get back to our original configuration here. We're going to put the front in the west again, and we're going to put the back in the east. And as you can see, we're still blue. Alright, we're coming up to, let's see, 80 now. Now we're 110. Yeah. it looks really wrong when I turn the headlight off now. I'm really familiar with this part of the line. We're coming up to, yeah, 5.4. Whoa, that was really weird. Let's bring the throttle back. Yep, 5.4 and Sharon Hill. This is it. Okay. So this is a set of, I think, 4 curves. This will give us a good time to verify that the sun truly has set. So the way I do this is by basically coming level with the tops of one of those buildings, which is like right there. And if I look, it slices right through and there's no sun. So that's confirmed. The sun has set. So if this were the PRR beta using Microsoft Train Simulator, at this point, the world would end and I would get across to crash to desktop. But this is OpenRails. So, a long time ago, I would laugh once. But the sunset's not realistic. Or it wasn't, until I fixed it, and now it is. So now I'm going to laugh a second time. That was kind of a Peter Griffin laugh. That was not the way the first laugh sounded. Okay, we're back up to 110. And by the time we get to Wilmington, the ground should be 100% dark, and the sky should be looking pretty deep, and we should start to see some stars. In a minute, we're going to get to the section that I call Bridge World, which is where the track becomes elevated, and we go over literally every street that they built in Philadelphia. Not really, but it feels that way. And that will allow us to look out over the buildings and see the remaining light in the west. It should look really great. I think that happens right around milepost 10.5. So just round this next curve. Yep, this is it. All right. Let's try to get the carriage view of this. Oh man, that's great. And the best part is, unlike it was before, we're not seeing a mess of things in the east. Okay, here's what I really wanted to see, right through this stretch. Okay, I see one star. It's right here towards the upper left of the screen. And I think that's all I see for now. I don't see anything else. Just about on time. Usually the first stars will start to appear about 10 minutes after sunset. We're pretty much coming up on that time now. Alright, this section, Marcus Hook, we're leaving Pennsylvania and entering Delaware. I always forget to say it, but at least I remember to say it now. And now I realize that I was wrong in saying that I think Civil Twilight's going to end in Wilmington. That's wrong. It's the Maryland-Delaware line is where Civil Twilight's supposed to end. So if I turn the lights off, you can still see the color of the grass. At least I can. Using a liquid crystal monitor, so it's a little bit more realistic, but even using this I can still see the ground. And when we get to the end of Civil Twilight, the ground will be the exact same color as my cab, which is basically black. And this is another one of those sections. Yes, this is 125, and it is not anywhere near this sharp in real life. In fact, you can hardly notice it at all. Okay, I see a star, another star there, so that makes 2. Okay, I definitely see 2, 3 stars. So we're up to like 4 stars. It's like a rating. The reason I'm getting a little bit more excited and distracted by this compared with last time is because this is about where my test left off, about where we were going through Sharon Hill. So this is kind of like after the test video ended. I mean, I still tested it after that video ended, but this is like the first time that I'm driving a train while seeing it, is my point. Stars in the west. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're now up to double digits for star count. Dark right now. I don't need the light just yet, but it's getting there. You can start to see the interior lights of the carriages now. We're going to be pretty early here at Wilmington, maybe 4 minutes, so we're going to be sitting for a little bit. And I think it is a short enough time, considering too that I have not shown a video with what it looks like here. I think I'll keep it going this time. Because a lot of things are going to happen in the next 4 minutes. Okay, as you can see, it's quite a bit darker in the cab now. So we're going to depart for all the way in Baltimore at 7:23. So it's going to be another 53 minutes before the next stop. And by then, the sky pretty much overhead will be completely dark. I would say at this point the star count is almost uncountable. If I look at just one area, I can count like 20. And when I say one area, I mean maybe about the size of the cone in that light, that street light. So we have about 14 minutes until the end of Civil Twilight. As you can see, or as you can probably see, and as I can still see some green in the ground. Again, that's going to be completely black in about 12 minutes. As you can see, we're already back to 1:30, and now we can do 135. So it looks like it's a little bit darker than when I took Acela Express 2267. It didn't really start to get seriously dark until I got to probably right around the Bush River. We are, let me see where it is. We're about 20 miles east of that, so that probably means we're about 10 minutes behind in terms of how I saw that. So it should start to look really dark around Baltimore, which I think is what I'm planning on. Because when I say really dark, I mean like you almost have to look for the light. Alright, this is a reduced curve, and I can barely see the lighting here, so let's see, it is 1836. We're just about 8 minutes from the end of Civil Twilight. I need it to see now, cab lights going on. This isn't just a curve, actually, that's 135. Let's see, 35. It goes up. After Churchman's Crossing. There's a bridge after Churchman's Crossing. When I see that, I know that I'm good to go full speed again. Continuing to turn off lights in my room as it progressively gets darker here. That's why I was getting at my LCD screen is very good at providing a realistic representation of brightness. I think I saw a bridge back there. Maybe I didn't. Set milepost 35 either way, so it should be good now. Now we are, it looks like, slightly ahead of schedule. So I did originally think that we would be reaching the end of Civil Twilight as we entered Maryland, and we're really about to enter Maryland in probably 30 seconds, if not a minute. And that puts us a full 5 minutes before the end of Civil Twilight. Alright, now I can see even more stars behind those stars, so we're probably seeing second magnitude stars now. If you don't know anything about astronomy, I can really explain it to you very quickly. So the brightest stars are what's called zero magnitude stars. There's only like probably 5 of them. Followed by that are what they call first magnitude stars. There might be 50 of them. And then after that are the second magnitude stars. There's probably 500. And just keep adding a 0 until you get to the 8th magnitude stars. When you have an 8th magnitude star, it doesn't matter how good your vision is. You could have like 20/10 vision, and what that basically means is what a normal person could see at 20 or 10 feet, you can see at 20 feet. Even if you have that, you're not going to see better than an 8th magnitude star. Okay, we're entering Maryland now, and yes, full 5 minutes before the end of Civil Twilight. So we're going to be at 2 miles a minute from here, So we're probably going to be at Bacon Interlocking, which is at milepost 50 in northeast Maryland. That's probably where we're going to hit the end of Civil Twilight. Let's take a look at the east. I don't think we've done that in a while. After I confirm my speed real quick. All right, we're good. Next curve to the right, yeah, that's on 1/3. All right, back to 135. Now we're in Elkton. This one's 130 again, too. Okay, so that's what keeps it on, is when you apply the brakes and then immediately release them, it won't let the sound off here. There we go. I was wondering why that happened. Alright, this one's going to be another 130. The one after it's a 130. Then the third one's a 110. So that one I really got to watch out for, because we're going to need a lot of time to slow for that. Alright, let me try turning the lights off, see how much light we have left. If the sun were setting, it would be right in front of us, but it's down, so, oh yeah, we're really close. I don't remember that last E on Mill Creek. Okay, this one coming up should be the second 130, and then at that point I'm going to come off of the I can't call it gas. I was going to call it gas, but it's not. Right, there's our 130 up ahead. Touch the throttle. Instead, I'm going to put my hand on the brakes. All right, time for the brakes. Alright, we're 1 minute from what I understand the time of the end of Civil Twilight. Here's Bacon interlocking here, so looks like my estimate was off by just about 1 minute, which makes sense that we're here 1 minute faster, because we are actually doing slightly faster than 2 miles a minute. We're going between 130 and 135 most times. Alright, coming back up, this is a 130. This is a 125. Alright, next one to the left is a big one. That's a 115. Let me see if I can stick my head out the cab. I feel like I've been bogged down with this. Oh yeah. Much, much less light in the east. I think we've got up to like third magnitude stars now. They're all over the place. Okay, we're now 1:15 until Perryville, and this is supposed to be the end of Civil Twilight. So now the ground is pretty much as dark as it's going to get. And I'm surprised. It's not quite as dark as I thought it would be. The dim headlights do absolutely nothing. So I don't know, that might be close enough. It is pretty dark. And then, so all we're waiting for now is for the sky above us to turn black, and then the sky in the west to turn black. Speed limits are going down again. Crossing the Susquehanna River now. Okay, coming up is a Cab 80. This one shouldn't exist in real life, but it does in the simulator. Let go of the braking sound already. Great. Now my brakes are used up and not emptying out. Anyway, this shouldn't exist in real life because the configuration of the track is different than it is in real life. This part is realistic. We should be able to go straight here and be totally okay. What's not right is bush interlocking. This track that we're on now should do exactly what we just did to get on it, to get off of it. We would have to switch right. But instead, incorrectly, the track to the left of us comes in from the, or sorry, the track to the right of us comes in from the right, which is unrealistic. So that one is much sharper than it is at Grace. So that would basically necessitate us to slow all the way down to a insanely slow speed of 45 miles an hour. So to be realistic with the timetable, we're not going to do that. So instead we move at Grace. So if I look out the carriage, it should be basically completely dark outside, aside from the sky. Yeah, pretty close. Now we are at an unbroken 125 until we get to just south of Edgewood. So checking out the western sky, the red is gone. We're now back down to peach. And if I look off to the east, we're losing the sunset color. It's kind of turning to a gray now. Directly above is now starting to get pretty dark blue. I can now see entire constellations of stars. Right now we've got 30 minutes to reach Baltimore. Next thing on our schedule, day-night cycle, is the end of Nautical Twilight. So this is now far beyond what my test video showed. That happens at 1917. So we've got the Twilight. That's why I said the Twilights are very long. We've got about 25 minutes to go until we're there. And that's already how dark it is. Okay, so here comes bush interlocking. So if you look, the track that we're on now should go to the right, but instead the track on the right comes in to its left from our right, which is incorrect. Okay, we are now getting close to our only slowdown point between here and Baltimore. All I gotta do is get down to 120, and that's it. Very soon, we will arrive at the slower speed limits coming into Baltimore. We'll get slower and slower until we reach Baltimore, and then they will slowly increase afterwards. So let's see, checking the time here, I would have expected it to be a lot darker than it is now. We're still 17 minutes from the end of Nautical Twilight, but once I get my speed down here, let's take a look above, because it's still really bright in front of us. Now, we are facing basically west. Very deep blue. Okay, so maybe we are 17 minutes away. Check the west out again. See, the west is now a deep orange. It is no longer, what color was I using to describe it? Peach. It's no longer peach. It's no longer citrus. Now we're straight orange. Oh man, I did it again. I slipped it looking at the Class B speed limits. We're still 125 here. We're good until we reach the back river, which unfortunately doesn't show up here in this train simulator. Hopefully, oh, I know it will. I'm not going to even have to say hopefully. I know it will in the Philadelphia to Washington for Train Simulator 2021. All right, this is where it actually goes to 110 right here. We should be just up to that like river interlocking. Yeah, right there where that 80 sign. Yeah, that's where it kicks in right there. And then at point, that's where we really have to hit the brakes. That should be coming up in just about 20 seconds maybe. And there it is. All right. Ground has definitely reached its full darkness now. If it hasn't earlier, it definitely has by now. I mean, this is basically white, and I can barely see it now. Let's do another east and up check. So east, oh yeah, east is looking deep blue. Up also looks deep blue, so pretty much they're now turning into like a deep gray and a deep blue, losing their sunset haze, which is kind of like an orange color. That sunset haze is caused by the setting sun over here in the west, reflecting off of the air particles in there. For the most part, the east is blue, but down near the horizon, sometimes the sun can cause scattering there. It tends to be at its strongest during sunset. And when I get to Baltimore, I'm going to turn all the lights off so that you guys can see how much progress the sky has made in becoming dark. Once again, we are going to disappear from the overhead until we get to Baltimore due to going through the tunnel. But unlike in New York, we will be able to see the sky when we are at Baltimore. Alright, last look. Let's see, east. Third magnitude stars. Up, I would say now fourth magnitude stars. And, let's see, west. Deep orange. With plenty of stars in that direction too. I didn't realize the gradient is actually on the train driving info too. So if that's the case, then I really don't need the track monitor at all, because really lately the reason that I wanted the track monitor the most is to check the gradient. It's something that's a little bit less apparent in real life because you can't feel it. You can't feel where gravity is. Okay, so we'll be stopped at 1910, and we're due to leave at 23, so that's a full 13 minutes. It's going to be quite a bit darker by that time. Let's see. Nautical Twilight is at 1917. And we are supposed to leave at 1923. Okay. So we're going to have to do something then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video when we reach... I'm going to pause the video basically now, and then we'll come back and I'll show you guys what it looks like at 1917 when we've actually had end of Nautical Twilight. And then we'll come back, we'll pause it again and come back when it's time to leave. But first, let's show off what it looks like right now without any lights. Looking pretty darn dark, except for the sky. Yeah, in fact, off to the east with all this light pollution present, it's starting to go on night. If I look straight up, yeah, that's not even blue. I'd start to call that gray now. So we're losing color. This is basically it. So in 6 minutes when we come back and take a look up, that should be pretty much almost black. Alright, so until 1917. Okay, it's 1917. You all know what that means. The end of Nautical Twilight. Let's check and see if we're there. So right away, I'm looking over at the northwest, and I'm not really seeing any blue. It's just pretty much the final bits of the setting sun, or the set sun, I guess I should say, the last light that's left there. If I look up, yeah, that's pretty darn gray, if not black. Now if I take a look off to the east, pretty much black. It's kind of hard to tell what's gray and what's black, but if I look in between the clouds, it looks pretty black. So yeah, I'm gonna say that this is the end of Nautical Twilight. The last thing to fall is Astronomical Twilight, and that'll be at 1948. For the time being, though, we are here in Baltimore until 1923. So we'll come back in just about 5 minutes for the departure. Alright, so we got about 45 seconds to go. Let's see, the end of Astronomical Twilight. That is when the twilight's end, it would become full night. But I never told you guys what the definition of full night is. Full night means you can take a picture of the west at 1 minute after full night began, and you can take another picture at 1 a.m. and compare the pictures. The only thing that's different is the position of the stars. There's no change in the coloration. Okay, so 1948 is that. So that means we're about 25 minutes from that. And now you can see there's even the light is really fading. Like, you gotta look for astronomical twilight. In fact, some parts of the country, like the Northeast, don't even get them because of light pollution, which, by the way, isn't simulated in train simulator. So if we were in this part of the country in real life, it would be 100% dark. Looking up, looking to the east, it's completely dark. So our attention is pretty much solely going to be facing the west. Also, it is time to depart. So we'll go ahead and flick our lights back on and get out of here. And we got to be quick because we don't have much time to get to BWI. I've often been late for it, and I should have left like 50 seconds ago, so let's try to kick up some serious juice here. So next is BWI Airport at 7:36 p.m. So we've got 11 minutes to get there. It's a short distance, but over half of that time is going to be just trying to get out of this tunnel, which we can only go 30 miles an hour inside. Oh man, yeah. I was just making sure. The headlights on this train are really good. Most of them aren't this good. They'll cover like an area maybe 4 times the size that the tunnel opening is now, and that's it. But these seem to cover quite a bit, because I was like, is it really that dark? And then I turned the lights off, and all I could see was that orange at the very end there. It is really hard to see the west. Any light in the west, that is. And and we're looking at 270, which is right where the sun is, and that's kind of how it is in real life. The definition of astronomical twilight is, to the untrained eye, it's completely night. The only difference is if you're an astronomer and looking at some nebula, the fact that the light from dusk is still washing out some of the color of the night sky, which is there is no color. It's basically totally translucent, aside from a little bit of zodiacal light and sky glow, but that never goes away. Focused on staying on time, so let's get up to 55, which is the speed limit here, and then we can take a look at actually no, it's going to be 110 after this curve. Forgot. And because we're not yet moving 60 miles an hour, we don't need to ring the bell there. Let's take a look. Yeah. Hardly anything. It's just a little bit of light there. Yeah, oh yeah, that's black. I don't think it was 100% black then, but it definitely is now. And it's black over there too. random 90-mile-per-hour speed limit here that I haven't figured out yet why it's here. But it's not too impactful because we're going to have to slow for BWI Airport another minute. Whoa. And I just now looked up into the sky. Wow. It is dark. So if I turn on dim, yeah, dim doesn't do anything. All it does is it makes the train light head up, or the head light up on the front end of the train when viewed from an external view. I'm having some problems with English today. See how we're doing on time. So it is 33, 34. Oh, we're right on time because we want to be basically 2 minutes early. It's actually not bad at all. This will give us just enough time to evaluate the situation, and being near BWI Airport means we should have a lot more horizon than would typically be available. Alright, it is 34:30, so we're 90 seconds from departure. Alright, so taking a look outside, the south is pretty much dark. If I turn to the west, it gets a little bit brighter, a little bit more than I thought. We're actually facing southeast here. Then if I look north, very dark into the east, pretty much as dark as it's going to get. So they don't have them colored, but I mean we could theoretically see all the way to 8th magnitude stars here. It's not getting any darker than this. I mean, when you see those like blurry clouds behind the stars that are really thin stars, you know that that's basically it. So it's just this pink area over here. We're waiting for that to disappear. And it is just about time to depart now. At 36, we will be 12 minutes from the end of Astronomical Twilight, which represents the end of Twilight and the beginning of full night. Departing now for Washington Union Station. And my goal is when we start pulling in after Landover interlocking, the tracks turn due west. And at that time that we turn due west, the sky in front of us, which is where the sun set, should be completely black. And if so, that will have told us that we have exited the day-night cycle into full night. Oh, I love the lighting effects from the inside of the train. They did a good job with that. So this part of the NEC is so well maintained that we're going to be doing 125 until Landover Interlocking, completely unbroken. Which means we should be able to estimate what time we're going to arrive at the due west tracks when we cross the Anacostia River. So those are at milepost 128. We're at milepost 108. Actually, it's a little bit further than that, about 129. We're at 108, so that's 21 miles. We'll be averaging 2 miles a minute, so that's 10.5 minutes. And 10.5 minutes will put us at 07:49, which will be 1 minute after the time that I'm expecting us to enter full night. So that should be our final test. Are we there? I can't believe how bright this headlight is. It shines like the sun for half a mile. It's unbelievable how bright it is. So even looking sideways out the window, I'm not seeing any light whatsoever. Of course, you know, we're not going to see all the way to the horizon in due west, but that's kind of a progress check. That if I couldn't see all the way to the horizon, and I didn't know what time full night began, I'd be beginning to ask myself, are we in full night? Because it really looks like that. Turning actually to the west. Oh, it's really close. It's like only here there I can tell it turns like a kind of a brighter gray and then it's back to black again. So we're supposed to be 7 minutes from it right now. We're going to do 2 passes. We're going to do 1 pass with the lights on, and the second we'll do with the lights off to see what difference it makes. But let's do that after. So we can do our first pass. Oh, no, the horn doesn't work outside. That's frustrating. It just makes the bell ring even faster. Yeah, pretty close to night, if you ask me. So I know I keep repeating it. Yeah, it's confirmed. All right, let's turn the light off in the cab. That's probably as dark as it's gonna get. Turn the light off outside. That's as dark as it's gonna get. It's as dark as it's gonna be to the south. It's as dark as it's going to be to the east. And not quite there in the west. That's the only pin that we're waiting to drop. We're not as far south as we are. We're in the Little Patuxent. I thought this was the Big Patuxent. So we're like 3 miles further north than I thought. Either that or they're closer together than they really should be. We should be 5 minutes to go now. Still noticeable. Okay, I think we're 3 minutes to go now. It's really close, but I can still see it. Alright, we are getting close to our first slowdown here, which is Landover interlocking. are less than 1 minute to go. So close. It might spill over just a little bit later than I was expecting, but I'm pretty certain by the time we come to a stop at Union Station, we'll be in full night. Alright, here we go. This is it. So the tracks are going to turn fully west, and we'll be able to evaluate at that point. So to better help me evaluate, we're going to turn all the lights off. And we're going to see if there's any difference. Maybe a tiny bit. It's kind of really hard to tell. Alright, so that's north, east, south, west. Yeah, I think I can still see it, but it's just barely noticeable. Like I said, I'm pretty confident by the time that when we come to a stop, it'll be gone. And I'm not going to be able to check again because at this point I need to start preparing for Washington Union Station. So we'll check again when we stop the train, and if it's still not dark, we'll shut the train down and check again. And if it's still not dark, or we're not sure, I can pull a little trick to guarantee one way or another. Gotten this far or this close to Union Station without getting a reduced aspect. door to the left is not real. There's only one such door. I mean, maybe there was at one point, but after they redone the terminal to basically make it like an airport, so you don't go out to your train until it is ready. So it is 7:55. We are due here at 8 o'clock, so we're just about 4.5 minutes early. Let's take a look at what the skies do. All right, well, one trick that I can do, and this isn't the trick that I was going to do earlier, is I can turn the compass off and then spin around in a circle. Like, whoops, not like that. I need to keep the thing up. Spin it around a circle, and then without showing the horizon, identify where west is. Without showing the horizon. Can I pick west out? This will really tell me. Oh snap, I don't think I can find it. Alright, I'm gonna say it's there. They try turning the compass up. Let's see what happens. Almost, but not quite west. Yeah, that's okay, that's actual west. Alright, so I don't think we're quite there. Let's shut the train down. Alright, so that's it. So now going outside. Yeah, it still doesn't look dark. So this is what I can do to force it to happen. So what we're going to save. And I'm going to press my special cheat code key. So let's see, there's west. I can press the plus key and hold it down, and that makes night happen much faster. It's gone now, so it's 11 p.m. So maybe one possible improvement that I might be able to make is try to make it so that full night happens faster. It seems to be a little bit delayed. I can still see it a good hour after sunset, but honestly, I think that's pretty minor. It did take me a while to find it, and then when I did find it, it wasn't actually centered on west, so, you know, it's like, how much is that light pollution and how much of that is actual darkness? And, oh, by the way, if the moon is up, you don't get astronomical twilight. That's actually a truth. If the moon is up, and it's anything beyond like a sliver, you will not get astronomical twilight. It will not get dark enough. So same thing with the cities, as I explained earlier. So I think that there's a little bit of improvement that can be made, but I think we're close enough to be considered realistic at this point. So that's the end. We're pretty much we pretty much ended in full night. At least as much as the simulation goes with it. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I really hope that you guys appreciate the sunset, because it really, really irritated me and drove me mad to fix it, and I fixed it. So, or at least I think I fixed it. So, thank you guys for watching the episode, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.